learn a little bit more about who's in our room. First, how many of you here for your first ever ACAP program? Not just this one, but any ACAP. Wonderful. Thank you. Thank you so much for being here. How many of you are caring for an aging parent? Okay. What about a spouse, a partner, another family member? Lovely. Is anybody caring for more than one person? And if I do know we've got somebody back here that's with a who is a senior care professional, correct? And you're also, I understand, I saw your hand go up. You're caring for a loved one. Boy, I got a special place in my heart for you. I can't handle paper very well. Sorry. So, if you look around the room, you guys aren't alone, and that's why we're all here. So when you came in, you should have received a couple of things. We have some rack cards. Please make sure you take a few of those, hand those out to your friends, your healthcare providers, attorneys, or advisors, folks you work with, because a lot of people can benefit from this community that we're building here. Word of mouth is really the best gift that you can give us. You also received our upcoming program schedule. So we have a lot of programs that are lined up. There's a lot of great content. We try to mix things up and cover a wide range of topics, but we're going to be back here every month, same time, same place. And also, if you haven't filled out a contact form, I think they asked you to fill out that. Please do if you would. That gives us the opportunity to reach out to you and make sure you know what's going on, what programs we have coming up. So last thing is after tonight's program, you're going to receive an email with a link, which is going to ask you for some feedback. That's a great way for us to improve on what we do and provide better programs each time we do this. So one of the things that makes it possible for us to do this are folks that support us, our sponsors. These folks care very much about this community. Tonight, we're very grateful to have April Money from Capstone Hospice as our program sponsor. April, would you come up and spend about 2 minutes? Tell us who you are and what you do and how you serve families like the ones in this room.
Hi, thank you very much for coming to our very first program. I'm happy to see everybody here. My name is April Money. I'm from Capstone Hospitality here. We are a locally owned and operated hospice company, faith-based. That's really important to our families. We service all of Metro Atlanta, but I am the rep that covers the coming area. So I'm always happy to help families navigate the decision of hospice. Patients who are wanting to know more about it and just kind of help walk them through those decisions, however hard or easy that may be for them. So I'm always happy to help. Thank you all for having me.
April, thank you for being here. Thank you for sponsoring this program tonight. And y'all, when the program is over, please stop by April's table and chat with her. So let's get to the reason that we're all here tonight. If you have aging parents, there's probably a very good chance that there are conversations that you need to have that you probably haven't had. It's very difficult to have the kinds of conversations that we all, somewhere in our lives, have to have with an older parent. Maybe it's about driving. Maybe it's about finances or where they're going to live or what they want at the end of their life. These are very hard conversations, and most of us were never taught how to have them. That all changes tonight. Tonight we're joined by two speakers, Lindsay Brown and Chris Leibold. First, Lindsay Brown. Lindsay has been a licensed therapist for over 20 years and has worked in a variety of settings, including mental health treatment centers and an outpatient psychiatric group before starting her own practice. 10 years ago, she and a colleague opened Roswell Counseling Group, where she has been happily practicing ever since. Having her own practice has allowed her to expand her work to beyond traditional talk therapy and explore additional ways to support her clients. She provides individual therapy for adults, addressing a range of issues including depression, anxiety, interpersonal conflicts, life transitions, and of course, having those difficult conversations with aging parents. Chris Leibolt is our other speaker, and he's the owner of Senior Care Authority Atlanta and is a compassionate senior care advisor dedicated to helping seniors and their families navigate the complexities of elder care. His journey into his role was shaped by three experiences: caring for his father-in-law, his time as an instructor at New York University, and his corporate experience in sales and marketing. All created the passion, the communication skills, the strategic insights into building partnerships with his clients and senior communities. Known for his empathetic approach and deep understanding of the senior care industry, Chris is a trusted guide for families balancing their own lives while caring for aging parents. His genuine passion for improving the lives of seniors shines through his work, making him a valued resource in the Atlanta community. Ladies and gentlemen, our speakers.
No, I've got
You're good.
a very specialized mic here. So good evening, everybody, and thank you for coming. We are, I just want to give you an overview on what we're going to do tonight and how we're actually going to present this particular conversation. So we are going to start out with me going through some practical frameworks on 5 principles that they're pretty simple and how we should approach difficult conversations with our aging parents. And I'm going to go through kind of those 5 principles that are really, really important to remember. Then we're going to make it interactive. So we are going to engage, Lindsay and I, in a little role play here where we're going to play out a difficult conversation about driving. So I don't know if any of you have ever had that conversation with an aging parent, but it typically is not an easy one. But we're going to ask you to be our coaches. We're going to ask you to kind of interrupt this because it's possible that I may not do it the way that I'm laying out here. And we're going to have you jump in and help us figure that out. And then we're going to go to Lindsay, who's going to talk more about why older adults find it sometimes difficult to have these conversations. And also why adult children often struggle with having these kinds of conversations. So she'll look more at the higher level of why. So a lot of times as an elder care advisor, I'm literally called because there's an adult child that's recognizing that things are changing and they don't know how to bridge the conversation with their spouse or with their aging parent. And they'll call me in, and and a lot of times I serve as a facilitator. That's been happening lately very often, you know, and it's very complicated on how you have those particular conversations. And so this is just going to be a simple framework. And we're going to want you to think of this as a process. It's not something that you're going to be able to resolve in just a moment. It takes time. But there's 5 principles that really we're going to be talking about tonight. And this is the framework. And the first principle you want to think about is that you want to remember that it's a conversation and not a directive. So a lot of times, you know, somebody will show up and mom will be sitting there and they'll go like, "Mom, we're taking away the keys." And that usually doesn't go very well with the older adult. What every older adult wants is they want a sense of autonomy. They want to know that they're still in control of their life. They still crave and they want to hold on to that independence. So when a conversation feels like the decision's already been made, they feel like they're already out of it. It's not a conversation. It becomes a directive. They'll withdraw. They'll feel like they're being railroaded into something that maybe they don't have any voice in. And for them, it's critically important that they have a voice. Any work that I'm doing with an older adult, the person in the driver's seat is always the older adult. And we're always going to defer to them. When we try to drive things and it can't be the older adult, then that can cause problems. Now, it's different when you're dealing with an older adult that's in the middle stages of dementia or the later stages of dementia. Obviously, we're not able to have the same kind of conversations with them that we're able to have with youngers. So, so instead of saying, we think it's time, Mom, for you to move, you begin thinking about it in a different way. Something like this, I've been thinking about the future, Mom, and just wanted to get your thoughts on what you think life looks like for you in the next couple of years. A very open-ended conversation that they will willingly jump into, and you'll be surprised at the things that they're going to share with you. So that's the first principle. It's a conversation, not a directive. The next one, take baby steps. Start small. Moving from a familiar environment into something new, it's a huge leap. It's a tragedy, some of the things that I see, and I'm sure many of us in this room are familiar with it. I see so many older adults that are socially isolating in basements and back rooms, and they wake up in the morning and they don't have a conversation with anybody all day long. They watch TV. Maybe they have chicken fingers or spaghetti, because they're not able to prepare the nutritious dinners that they like, and then they go to bed. And it's social isolation, which is, in my opinion, a bit of a pandemic for older adults. But moving from that environment into something completely new, like having somebody come into the home and begin providing care, or moving into a senior living community, it's a huge leap. And if you try to do it all at once, it's chaotic rather than process-oriented, where they can warm up to what it is that they need to do. And this is it's about home care. It's about having a conversation about wills, estates, and trusts, about any of those different kinds of things. So instead of jumping straight into, you need to move now, start with some gentle exploratory questions like, hey, did you see that new senior living community over on the corner that they're building down the street? What do you think about places like that? Completely just kind of starting right from the beginning. Or have you ever visited anybody in a senior living community? Question for you. What do you think the image is of a senior living community or a home when we're talking to somebody that's in their 80s or their 90s? What are they envisioning? This is a question to you. Did you all hear that? A nursing home, people in wheelchairs with a blanket. Greg Santini, is that what senior living communities are like today? Greg does exactly what I do. He's also an elder care advisor, and we see it every day. It's not the nursing homes. It's not that. But that's the mythology that older adults are operating from. So helping them to just go have a lunch or think about it in a different way can totally change the game. So start with gentle exploratory questions. All you're doing is testing the waters. Okay, the next one is watch the body language. So you know that maybe it's time to take a break if you start seeing crossed arms, or you start seeing a change in posture or raised eyebrows. I was sitting with a woman just yesterday. Every time I would turn to look at the daughter, the 98-year-old mom would roll her eyes. The daughter kept saying, see, there she goes, she's rolling her eyes. And I'd look back, and she'd be sitting there like that. So, body language is really, really important. A clenched jaw, silence, all those can be just indications to you that this conversation is becoming stressful. Maybe it's time to go talk about tea and toast or something that you know is going to make them a little bit happier. So think of the conversation more like a thermostat more than a light switch, right? You're just adjusting the temperature gently. You're not just switching it off. So, and then later, after you've had that conversation, go back and do a little bit of thinking on your own. What was the trigger that caused the crossed arms or the clenched jaw? Was it cost? Was it loss of independence? You know, do a little debrief with yourself or with your spouse or with your sibling or whoever you invited into the conversation. What caused it? And then the next time you know, okay, that's a trigger. We're going to have to address that in a different way. So understand, and sometimes the next step is simply bringing better information. Number 4, keep the conversation open-ended. So these are helpful questions. What worries you most about the future? Totally open-ended. You're not talking about home care, taking away the keys. We've got to bring in somebody. You've got to move into. Just very, very open-ended. What would help you feel safer at home? You know, that's usually one of the indications. There's 2 things really that makes us understand that we might need to intervene. Safety and dignity. When we recognize that somebody, an older adult, somebody that we love, is no longer safe, well, we know we got to do something. And when we know that they're not living a life of dignity, we know we got to do something. Dignity can only be achieved when somebody's need for safety and security has been met. If that need is not being met, nobody can ever feel and live with a sense of self-esteem and dignity. And it's your ability to go in there and do some reconnaissance to see what's next. So there's a balance between listening openly and planning early. And then the last one, keep your eyes on the prize. Final idea is exactly that. The goal of these conversations is not to win an argument. It's not to be right. It's to literally help your older adult, the person that you love. It's to help them thrive. And that should be the prize at the end of the day. Sometimes it's isolation. Sometimes it's poor nutrition. Sometimes it's social isolation. Sometimes it's a difficult transition. And, you know, we all recognize these things. But by intervening at the right time and doing it in the right way, those things can improve tremendously. More social engagement, better nutrition, better safety, more energy. And getting there requires a lot of families to navigate these uncomfortable conversations. So now we're going to have a little bit of fun. Okay? This is how we're going to do this. I am going to pretend to be an adult child. My name's going to be Nick. And I'm going to have a conversation with my mom, Maud. Lindsay's going to be Maud. And, well, Maud she was supposed to drive to the grocery store the other day, which was only 5 minutes away, but she ended up getting lost. And she was lost for a couple of hours, and she was an hour and a half away. As Nick, this freaked me out as the son, and so I'm about to have a conversation with my mom about driving. And what I'd like you to do, I'm going to behave badly, okay? What I'd like you to do is if you see me behaving badly, this is practice. We're going to practice now using these frameworks to see if we can do something. I want you to raise your hand and say, freeze. And then I'd like you to give me a line that maybe I should have used or something that I should have done. You're going to be the director for me, and I'm going to totally change the way that I approach it. We're going to see if maybe we can progress in this conversation with my mom, okay? So, as soon as you see something go south, raise your hand, say freeze, provide me what you think might have been a better approach, and then we'll go from there, okay? Everybody clear? All right. So I need a 1, 2, 3 action, and we're going to get this started. Here we go. 1, 2, 3, action. Hi, Mom.
Hi, how are you?
I'm good. I'm good. Listen, we're going to have to take your keys away. But well, why stop?
You went directly for the throat.
I did. So probably approach it in a slightly different way. What do you think would be a better way to do it rather than not going directly for the throat? What might be a better lead in? Let me try that. Let me try that out. Hey, Mom.
Hey, how are you, son?
Good, good. Listen, you know, I heard about what happened the other night.
What happened the other night? What are you talking about?
Well, you know, when you were going to the store, we had to go over and pick you up, you know, over at the Walmart. Um, were you frightened when that happened?
No. I mean, I just took a wrong turn. I mean, anybody does that. I think you're being ridiculous.
I'm being ridiculous?
Yes.
I am not.
Drive it.
Oh, I'm sorry. Why? What did I do? Who confrontational? So she just said that I was being ridiculous. I mean that's hurtful. Are you suggesting that I should respond differently? I'm sorry? So what would be if she's accusing me of being ridiculous, saying mean things to me that hurt my feelings, what would be a better way to respond to that?
Explain why you feel the way that you feel. That you were worried about. Like why you were worried.
Oh, so kind of express my own concern for her rather than getting upset myself. All right, let me try that. Let's see if that helps at all. So if you could pick up with you being ridiculous.
You're being ridiculous.
Well, well, Mom, listen, I just have to say, you know, when I couldn't find you and I was calling all around and I was trying to track your phone, it was really concerning. I was worried about you, and I thought I didn't know where you were. So you know, I thought maybe we could have this conversation about taking your keys away. What? I expressed concern. I didn't do that right? So what? So what was that?
No, I said slowly. You're doing great. You just went in.
I just went right in.
Yeah, yeah.
The thermostat piece. That's right. So after I expressed did I do the concern piece better a little bit? What should I have done then after maybe? I'm sorry.
Empathy.
More concern. How do I get to the more empathy? How do I get to the driving piece? Do I just ask an open-ended question? Oh, I like that. That's really good. Okay, I'll pick it up from. So yeah, Mom. You know, so I was really concerned. I got nervous. I didn't know where you were. So what was it again? Oh yeah, I'm sure it was probably uncomfortable for you when you called me. You remember how you were a bit upset. So
I worry just a little bit.
yeah. So is there something that maybe you'd suggest that we could do to prevent this from happening again in the future?
I mean, I could use my GPS, but I don't know how to use it.
Well, we're going to have to teach you how to use your GPS, Mom, because you can't. What? What did I do wrong that time? I got too directive? I'm so sorry. I'm not very good at this. Would you like me to help you learn? Or does anybody know? I mean, she's not ever going to be able to use GPS. I mean, she can't even. She's not very good at making a telephone call. Is there anything else maybe we could talk about rather than a GPS or something like that? Something else maybe? Let me see. Well, you know, Mom, I could help you maybe learn about to use the GPS. There's also all other kinds of ways that we could navigate it. There's other things beyond a GPS that maybe we could use.
Like,
Well, they've got Uber services for seniors through the senior centers. We could potentially use that. They've got different kinds of, there's a group that you can hire to drive you on your errands. Maybe your friend Tabitha, who's always asking if she can do anything, maybe we can sign her up. You know, you only use the car to go to a couple of things. Maybe we could have them, um, maybe we could have them participate. Um, you know,
Oh, I'm not ready to give up driving.
Mother,
altogether.
you've got to, everything I offer, I've just given you 9 ideas. You've, what? What happened there?
So can I just, so the one thing that I didn't hear you say
Uh-huh.
is, I'd like to take you. Could I take you? Then maybe we could spend some time together. Because in my experience, I think that's what the elderly parent really wants, is more time with their child, their children, or somebody family, not just a hired driver. But they would prefer to be with you and not just you doing tasks for them.
Okay.
Groceries, taking me to the doctor. At least that's what my parents would say to me. Stop,
Okay.
you're doing too much for me. Let's do something together.
Well, let's see how that impacts, Mom. I've never even considered taking time. I'm a very busy man. And I've never thought about, because she spends all day long all by herself. So, let me see if that changes anything. Well, you're right, Mom. I mean, it's not fun. You'd have to, I understand you don't, you probably don't want to get, you know, um, I've got a busy job and everything, but how about if I begin to take more time off at the times that you generally go to church and when you go to the Walgreens? And how about if I come pick you up and you and I can go shopping together, or maybe we can go to, church together or do something like that. It would give us an opportunity to spend some more time together.
I think I like that idea better than the others, but I want to be able to tell you when you can come pick me up.
Now here, well, now I feel like I want to react to that, but if you've all been coaching me that maybe I should be willing to compromise and say, if that's what she needs for her own sense of self-control, maybe I agree to it. So give it a shot. Okay, that's fine, Mom. If you want to determine when you want me to come pick you up,
I think that's best.
then why don't we go ahead and at least start there, and then we'll see how this works out, and then you know maybe that would be the best for both of us. You and I can get a chance to spend more time together,
That sounds nice.
and we can begin having discussions about driving a little bit later on. How does that sound?
Well, I'll have to think about it. I'm not entirely excited about it, but okay. I mean, I would love to spend more time with you.
Okay, well, good. Then that's what we'll do, and we'll try to start that next week. All right. Well, hey, well done. Thank you for helping Nick to get through that. But hopefully, really what we were trying to show was we're trying to model all these different things. And it's not easy when you're in the middle of it and when you are being challenged in certain ways. But this simple framework just gives you a few things to anchor on when you're in the middle of these conversations. And maybe it's just one of the 5 that you start out with, but it certainly creates a more dignified way to have these conversations with your aging parent. And now Lindsay's going to dig in a little bit more into kind of some of the reasonings and some of the whys on that. So we will pass it over to Lindsay.
So, I'm Lindsay Brown, and I'm a therapist in Roswell, and I'm representing the practice tonight. So I'm happy to be here, and I'm going to be sharing a little bit about what it might be, what's going on in the this together. Um, so when you're talking about like aging parents, you know, there's a complex mix of emotions that they're experiencing. And it's everything from grief to appreciation. And the appreciation might come later down the road. But initially, kind of starts off as grief and starting to feel overwhelmed, not empowered. And so then, being fit to drive is synonymous with being mentally sound and physically sound. And the car is more than a car, it's independence. It's the ability to be able to go visit friends, to be able to drive to a doctor's appointment, to go see their grandkids, you know, just to jump in the car and like go pick something up. And then suddenly that's threatened. It's like, oh my gosh, really? Like, I can't imagine someone telling me that maybe I can drive or do the things that I used to do. And no one wants to be told what to do. No one care what age. So along with that, parents are resisting what the help represents. So they're not really resenting you. They are pushing back against that loss of independence, that identity and control and a sense of powerlessness that they've been experiencing. So it's hard enough for you personally, but it's really not about us. It's about that help that they're looking for. So when the adult child wants to manage transportation and finances and health appointments, it can feel like that loss of control of their lives. Kind of like with the driving. I really didn't want to step in and driving places. Like I like driving and I think I'm pretty darn good at it. So it's a tricky situation. There's that threat to their identity that they have spent decades in the role of being a provider, a caretaker, a nurturer, and supporter. And now you, as the adult child, want to come in and kind of like make some decisions. And it's like, it's got a little resistance at first, which is, you know, understandable. Sometimes they feel like you're coming in and you're taking over, especially if there's like a harsh start. You just kind of go for the throat, as someone said. That's not going to go over as well. So now being cared for by an adult child kind of threatens that long-standing norm of I'm the provider, I'm the protector of this family. And I think that generation in particular, it's difficult for them to ask for help. It's kind of their norm to kind of, you know, discuss problems within the family, and they're really not going to want to share with what is going on. No, that's not a good thing. So along with that comes fear and anxiety. Accepting suggestions can help the aging process of getting real. Like this is really happening. I'm getting older and I may be having difficulty doing the things that I used to do. Maybe not as well, maybe not at all. And maybe that could be something that both us and Ruth can relate to that, okay, maybe we have a sports injury now. We can't play that sport that we used to love. Or we're not as good at what we used to be. We gotta set our minds that sharp because we're just getting older, we're stressed out, and we have more stuff that we're dealing with. They start wondering, am I burdened? Is this the beginning of losing who I know myself to be? My loved one has their own lives, their own struggles, and I'm not going to share the struggles going on with me because I have enough to worry about. So I'm just going to tell them I got lost. I'll just keep it to myself. So those are things that they think about. They're thinking about us and how their issues might be impacting us as kids. Because as my mom said, when I'm 100 and you're 80, you'll always be my baby. Like we just will always be in that child role together no matter how old we are. And we always see them as our parent, no matter how old we are. And the fear can show up as minimizing problems. Right? Oh, I don't think it is that often. I don't think we're all trying that often. It just happens sometimes. Everybody does it. And so they're kind of like rationalizing with themselves that it's not that bad. Which is, I mean, normal. When we're kind of coming to accept something in our lives that's difficult to accept, we have to do it in baby steps. Needing help with everyday tasks can be here that maybe they're having issues, or they forgot to pay a bill, or they got lost when they were driving. They're not going to tell their children because they don't want to burden them, they don't want to feel weak, they just want to be dad and want to be us. And that embarrassment and pride can lead to shame. And that shame, because they're embarrassed, can come across as anger. And so you may suggest, like, hey, I noticed you took the wrong turn and we had to, we had to pick you up the other night. It's like, they're going to want to push back against that because that means that they've done something wrong in their minds. So when you want to jump in and you want to like take the keys or you want to have a rough start into how you can help, they're viewing that as you're saying, I know what's best, give me the keys, I'm going to take care of you now. And that is not, no, that's not the fire. And so that anger is a way of protecting them against this perceived criticism. And really, what they're going through, whether they consciously are aware of it or not, is they're going through the grief process. And I'm sure many of you know the 5 stages of grief are denial, anger, bargaining, depression, and acceptance. So that denial would be, I'm fine, I don't need it. I don't need a driving service, I don't need that chair in the house, I don't need those bars in the bathroom. Anger. Why are you treating me like I can't take care of myself? More defensiveness. Bargaining. You're thinking, I'm just trying harder than you don't need their help. If I pay a little more attention while I'm driving, maybe I won't get lost as often forever. Depression. Things will never be the same. The sadness is like, oh my gosh, like my life is changing. I'm having a hard time accepting that. And then hopefully we get to a point of acceptance where maybe some help can make it something a little bit easier. But as Chris is saying, that is conversation after conversation after conversation. It would be great if, thank you, I would love for someone to come in and help me with X, Y, and Z, take me to appointments. That would be great. But, we all, when we lose something that we've had for a long time, we're all going to go through those stages of that grief. And it could be from to denial, to bargaining, to sadness, to maybe I'll accept a little piece of it. Doesn't mean I like it, but now I'm help. So it's not a linear thing. People will jump through different stages. And where it gets really confusing and tricky is when we have this role reversal of, the parents who used to take care of us as the nurturer and the decision maker, now the children are starting to become the nurturer and the decision maker. And it's really confusing. It's really uncomfortable for both of us because we don't have a roadmap on how to have these conversations. We're not prepared for how we may feel, sometimes adult children may feel like, gosh, I didn't know that mom and dad was having so much trouble with that. I didn't know. I just was scared to make it. They got us some help. We would be in this situation. And we put a lot of undue pressure on ourselves as the adult child to want to do what's best for our parents immediately. We overreact because we're like, oh my God, we're trying to avoid a crisis. We're afraid of what's going to happen. And there's going to slow the conversation down. They're reacting to what hasn't happened yet. So we're reacting to, oh my gosh, they got lost. They didn't pay their bill. Their electricity got shut off. And they're like, well, it's only happened like once or twice. It's fine. And we're like, no, we want something like right now. And that's where it gets a little overpowering and overwhelming for the parents. They're like, whoa, that's just, you're coming on a little too hot. So those conversations takes time and patience. And it's interesting, I was thinking about this actually on the way over here. So just as our parents are worrying about losing control, we're worried about losing control as well, because we don't know what we're doing. We are trying to maybe take steps, maybe prematurely, and we're overreacting, we're losing control, our parents are getting older, I can't stop that, it's gonna happen, I don't know what to do, and they're like, I don't know what to do either. And so you're kind of in this journey together, like a different path. So you're gonna be experiencing all those emotions, but maybe a different time. Let's see.
So remember, we're trying to protect them from something that they're, yeah, they're trying to protect them from something that they're afraid might happen. So, sorry, I'm too many guys. So what's your responsibility? Adult children often feel torn between, I want to respect what my parents want, what my wishes are, but man, if things, they seem for me, I feel like I can what they want. I'm gonna, but maybe they don't want help now, but I need help now. And if there's a medical crisis, unfortunately, sometimes we just have to jump in and have to take care of things. And we just hope and pray that we did the best that we could by now. The fact that you all are here just shows that you care enough that you want to do what's best. And sometimes we just don't know. We want to respect their autonomy and so that they feel like they do have some control over the decision process. So it's a great thing to have the conversations earlier and later, so that they can have a role and have some decision making power in what are next steps for them. And sometimes adult children can feel like they're worried they're going to get wrong, too controlling, or too up. You care and you love them, and their appreciation for you, which is what you had mentioned earlier, and appreciation may not ever come, but there may be some verbal things, and if they cannot thank you, they may do other little things, like, oh, I'm going to do something special, or they may call and check on you a little bit more, or they want to send you some money because they're not going to say thank you for picking up and paying for my prescriptions, but they may just send you a little extra money to cover the cost, but they're not going to say that's what it's for. I've seen with my own mom how I've come in and like, oh, you need this? I'm on the internet, I can have it done, I can have some, call someone, I can be over next week. Well, I didn't say I wanted it right now. No, but you said you needed help paying the bathrooms. I did, Lindsay, but not right now. I'm like, wait, what? So, okay. And so she's like, ask me another week. So I asked her another week, hey, Mom, I found someone that would love to come over and chat with you about what kind of things you'd like to have taken care of in the house. I just need the bathrooms done. Okay, well, when would be a good time to have them come over? I don't know, I have to. And so it's this ongoing thing, and sometimes it's like, oh my gosh, I have a solution for you. You're not quite ready, and it can be frustrating. So you just have to gently be like, hey, are things going in the house? It's just, you just have to trust it, but when to approach them. And keep in mind too that don't approach them. Timing is everything. So don't approach them when you know that they're tired. When it might be nap time, they've had a long day, they're already stressed out about something else. You might not be your time to have these important conversations. Same thing you do as a caregiver. If you're tired, spent, hungry, exhausted, maybe wait till you're in better time as well, so that maybe your conversation can be a little calm. So, I think I covered everything. Did anyone have any questions? Before you move on?
Yeah, we all, now that we've kind of gone through both sides of it, the practical framework and some of the more detailed stuff, we wanted to open up to you. I'm sure you've all got questions about what you've heard. Go ahead, Marvin.
Could you comment on setting appropriate boundaries when you're taking care of you're the caretaker for someone else? For example, the idea of you're taking time off work to come and take her somewhere, that could be a real problem for you at your work.
So when you're talking about boundaries, are those boundaries that you're requesting of the person that you're caring for? And how do you have a conversation about boundaries? Is that, or is it from the caregiver? Yeah, for the caregiver. How do you establish your own boundaries? Is that what you're, yeah.
In other words, they can't.
So this is a critically important question because, what we see so often in the field is that we see caregivers that have totally foregone self-care, have totally foregone their own boundaries, have pushed themselves way beyond the limit because of a lot of the reasons that Lindsay was just talking about, because of guilt, because of I'm the child, because of duty, because of all of these different things. So what do they end up doing? They end up quitting their jobs. Their marriages fall into turmoil. They end up enabling an older adult to live in a situation where they're unsafe and they're not living with any kind of dignity. So that's such a perfect question, Marvin. And sometimes the individual themselves can't do it because they're operating in their own vacuum. My advice, in these kinds of situations would be that, the family caregiver that finds themselves in the position, if they feel that overwhelming sense of stress, reach out to somebody that can maybe help them to understand that they have no boundaries. Reach out to somebody, maybe a counselor or an elder care advisor or somebody that's in aging services.
Or reach out to support groups. There are many
Or support groups,
that are
just
around,
like what, yeah.
that will help you. For a caregiver, it's courageous to recognize they've got to go out and they're going to seek help. Let's understand that. It's bravery. I work with the Alzheimer's Association of the Dementia Coalition. I personally went to support groups right here in Alpharetta, in Milton, the Alpharetta Library, and we deal with that. It's bravery. We also do another program called Coffee and Conversations, which is a low-key, intimate kind of relationship. But people need to be brave and courageous, and that helps only from people that perhaps were involved in the family, the people that can get involved with. There's help that's out there. The Alzheimer's Association has a long list on their website of different kinds of support groups. Also support groups that are virtual. So those are assistants. And the neat thing about a support group is when you're there, people tell me they get it. You don't have to explain what's going on, they get it. So my suggestion is if you have that issue, support groups are a really important way to go. And if we'd like to be happy to talk to you guys sometime more.
That's a great question, Marvin. Really, really important one, too. Really, really important one. So thank you for asking that. Anybody else have any questions about some of the things that we've chatted about today? Yes, April.
Is it ever too early to start having those conversations? I mean, my mom's fairly young, her number's 70, so she's not having like issues. We're not in it yet, but me being in the field that I am in and working with so many professionals, and I see things that we've been at meetings all the time and learning about this stuff. And so I'm, in my mind, how proactive should I be in starting things?
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
I think about planning in three different ways. Plan before chaos, plan the roles, and plan the money. Plan before chaos is critical because when you do planning, you're never going to be able to eliminate the stress. But by planning early, you can eliminate the chaos. And that's critically important. When it comes to elder care, there's very few families that actually plan the roles. So you find one person that does everything. And the siblings and everybody else are invisible. And that one person that does everything develops a huge amount of resentment towards everybody because they feel like they're the only one doing anything. Here's the thing. The family members that aren't involved also are resentful because they're like, why are you doing everything and never allow us to do anything? So planning the roles in advance are really important. Some siblings are really good with the money. Put them in charge of the finances. Some are really good with communications. Well, there's your mediator. Some are really good with technology. Okay, you set up the Zoom calls. You do this. Some are good with wills and estates. Have them go ahead and make sure mom and dad have all the documents that they need. And then plan the finance. And you can't do that overnight. You can't do that when you're in the hallway of a hospital and you find out that your discharge date is tomorrow morning. And you've got no idea if mom or dad even has a long-term care insurance policy or anything. So your question was, is it ever too early? When you begin to recognize that there's some changes, maybe even in the distant horizon, go ahead and begin planning. Corral your family together. Plan before chaos, plan the roles, plan the money.
Just a comment, I don't know if you've heard of the resources available on a website called patientprioritiescare.org. And it's a good way to start the conversations to make sure it's generated to have conversations when you take this booklet to your PCP or your primary care provider about what's important and what matters to you and what's the impact of the treatment. And it's a really good thing just to start with to have better visits, because as we all know, healthcare visits are not very beneficial these days. And it helps people start thinking about what matters that we focus on. The second thing I would say about the
Can I just stop you there? What was the name of it again?
patient priorities.
Patient priorities. Would people find value in kind of getting access to this? Because we could follow up with everybody and maybe send something to everybody. Okay. Patient priorities. A great booklet. Okay, great. And the second question?
I think some things from when you got lost, we don't know your cognitive status before that, but the next thing you should do is really be inquisitive about over-the-counter medications and medication changes, because a lot of older adults are taking Benadryl or diphenhydramine, which is terribly toxic to their brain. So some of this, not just taking the keys away, but it's being an investigative person.
Yes.
What they're managing with their medicines, and what new medicines or what alka seltzer things in their cabinet that are causing harm. I would back up to that.
Yeah. As part of my practice, one of my programs is called Beyond Driving with Dignity. And that's actually what we do. I give talks about it, and I meet one-on-one with older drivers. And one of the first things we talk about is there's an amazing statistic. Something like 70% of older adults are not fully aware of drug interactions and whether or not it says do not drive while drowsy, and yet they're taking the medication and getting into a car. You hit the nail on the head with that one. Being an investigator, I love that. That's exactly right.
It's a beautiful website for providers and patients. Has some great videos, and it talks about the conversations as well. Yeah, patientprioritiescare.org.
Excellent point. Yeah, yeah. Yeah. We had my father-in-law, he was trying to get his license again, and I kept having to buy the little cones because he had run over about 15 of them. And by the time he ran over the 16th, he said, "Oh, maybe we shouldn't remember that." So yeah, there's all kinds of things. I think. Did you have a question, Steve?
So if you're an adult that's in a facility, you know what I'm saying, being cared for, as in their declining dementia or Alzheimer's, as a child, what should you be doing? You know, just going and visiting? I mean, you know what I'm saying? What the question? What's my responsibility? In other words, they're taking care of the facility, they're you know, being cared for all the time. What, as a child, what's my responsibility
I would imagine that they would love to spend some time with you and, uh, you know, music is so fantastic for people that have cognitive decline, Alzheimer's disease. It just kind of brings them back. Maybe you guys could play music together. Just chit chat. Sometimes just listening is enough of a call to action and like an action plan. Sometimes just listening and spending time together is exactly what they need in that moment because all the other things are taken care of.
Mr. MC, are we at the end of our time?
Yeah, I think we're about there. Does anybody have any more
What's that?
questions?
Oh, yes, ma'am.
Yeah, so you kind of framed the intervention around safety and dignity. And how would I know that I'm using fair judgment for that? Is there like a rubric? Is there something that I could make more objective than subjective? For animal care, there's a quality of life rubric that you can check off. Is there something like that that would help me recognize when there's time to perform an intervention?
Well, I don't think that there is a rubric that could make it completely objective, and a lot of it is intuition. However, sometimes it becomes very, very clear. A lot of times we recognize that there's a safety issue when we have an older adult that's living with dementia who's exit seeking, for example. And and we're getting a call from, the local, police force. That's pretty obvious. From dignity, think about your mom or your dad, and if they're engaging or if there's something that's happening with them that they would have been embarrassed about when they were fully healthy, and that that's what they would have felt like, then it's really a dignity issue. It could be because of behaviors associated with dementia, or it could be because of any kind of physical impairment that's preventing them to having good nutrition, access to hydration, hygiene, all of these different things. And when you recognize them beginning to decline because they're not getting access to social interaction, it's more like red flags than it is an objective rubric that you're able to. And if ever you need to have run it by somebody that recognizes this all the time, I encourage you to reach out to somebody like myself or somebody like that could help you talk through those things as well. You're welcome.
All right, everyone. What a great way to start off this chapter. Sure.
As I said, my name is Jerry Ross. Thank you, Lori, everybody, and Chris for giving me this opportunity. I'm here to talk about something extraordinary. First, let me tell you something that I got to ACAP meetings in church and county, and I found it too far. So I'm delighted that Lori told me this is happening, and I'm delighted. And thank you for being here. But I'm here for another reason. I'm here to talk about something extraordinary that's happening that each one of you here, with the engagements you have talking about dementia, is supposed to be the minority. On April 25th in Milton, we will have a brain health and dementia community symposium. It's extraordinary, and I mean that. Symposium will bring teaching from Antoine Trammell, who's a brain health specialist at Emory Healthcare Institute. We will have tracking strategies for dementia risk reduction. We'll have real-world caregiving tools to support resources. We will also have brain health cooking demonstrations. When we talk about brain health, we're talking about a couple of things. We're talking about exercise, we're talking about nutrition, we're talking about socialization, education, and that will be represented here. And probably for the first time in Georgia, there will be a connection with brain health, healthy brains. Okay, so you'll be able to get involved with understanding what kind of activity brain health is to healthy brains. And then we'll be conversations about dementia. I love your presentation on role play, because we have a role play also. Except the role play directly to people who have dementia.
Yeah.
So we will have that. We'll be role play, something we call what do you do when dementia, if you're involved with dementia, you're flat-footed many times, aren't you? What do you say? So our program is, what do you say? And from there, we'll talk about role play. There'll be 12 sessions across 3 different breakouts. It starts at 8:30 in the morning with 20 different tables. And as of today, I'm happy to say that ACAP, along with also associate captains, will have representation as a table or a part of the table in our program. So I think that's a terrific way to start. We recognize that there's a need to be able to establish their relationship between Chris and my I'm going to see you guys welcome for symposium. Thank you. And hope to see you. I have these flyers to give out. Anybody wants to see them? I'm ready to see them.
You probably don't need it.
Thank you very much. I do want to myself, because we have a program coming up later about dementia, so I will be reaching out to you. Once again, heartfelt thank you, Chris and Lindsay, tonight. These conversations don't get any easier. But I think you guys have given some nice roadmap tonight, how we can approach it better, because we've gone down that road before. So we're very grateful for y'all. I'd also like to thank April Money and Capstone Hospice for being our sponsor for this program this evening. It's wonderful the work that you do, so y'all please stop by and talk to April. April actually just helped a friend of mine who was having to put her mother this week in the hospital. She answered some wonderful questions for her. She's great at what she does. I was also remiss earlier today, we have a chapter sponsor here, and that is Forsyth Senior Services. Alicia, would you like to come up and give us a couple of minutes of what you do?
Let's
How
do
you help the community?
Absolutely. I probably don't need that. It is a standing joke at work that anybody can hear me in any room that we have, so can everybody hear me in the back? Okay. So my name is Alicia Redding. I am proud to represent Forsyth County Senior Services. We have 2 locations here in Forsyth County, and we provide, I call this 2 different sides of the department. We have an active adult programming where any adult 15 up can come and join us for fitness, for presentations, for technology classes. We have an art program, data program, and a wide variety of different fun activities for people to do to help them stay engaged, stay social, and help them age well in place. That's the fun side of the business. The more serious side of our business is we do help older adults in need, and we have a variety of programs for that. We have a respite program. So those of you who are caring for a parent at home who need that break. We have a program that is 4 hours a day, 4 days a week. No one pays more than $50 for the 4 hours, and it is based on the income of the elder coming to the program. And there's a whole formula of things that are deducted from that amount to where they finally get to their price, and the average price is about $22 for 4 hours of care. And it's not care, I shouldn't say care. They're having lunch, they're socializing, they're playing bingo, they're doing fitness, they're doing a wide variety of activities, again, to help them stay engaged and to help keep their brains working as best we can. They're just in a little more protected environment. They're not in the full chaos of the whole center. They're more contained. We also have our senior advocacy team. We have 3 social workers on staff. We are the only county department who does. We have 3 social workers on staff to help others in need or the children of others in need. I can't tell you how many calls we get from children saying, just had one the other day, we need to help mom. It's time for her to probably move into assisted living. We don't know where to start. Well, we have a nice list of referral partners from various networking groups that I belong to, and we have folks who can help them get started. But we also have things as far as folks who need to have difficult conversations. Some of our social workers also have those degrees in psychology as well, and sometimes they can help facilitate those conversations as well. So they're there to help others with just about any question they may have. It might even be a tree fell on my roof and I don't have the funds to fix it. We can actually help them, connect them with a group that has a roofing company that donates a roof every 10 years. They donate a roof to someone in need. So no question is unanswerable. We can help them in any way possible. And then we also have our congregate elder net. We operate the Older Americans Act programs for the county. That includes Meals on Wheels and a nutrition and wellness program for older adults where they can come in and have lunch with us once a day, or it's a Meals on Wheels program for those who can't leave their homes or can't prepare food for themselves anymore. So it's a lot. I have some flyers. If you need just a quick bit of information, you take me over by the share. Thank you so much for having me, and we are very excited to partner with you.
Do you still offer the balance classes?
Yes.
Our next program is planning for the future, legal and financial planning for aging parents. Our two speakers are members of our leadership team. Stephen Stewart is an estate and trust attorney, and myself, I'm a financial advisor. We'll be here chatting with y'all next month. All of our programs are held right here, same day every month, the second Thursday, starting at 6:30, so the same time. Which makes it a little less than you have to remember. Please put us in the calendars. We'd like to see y'all back next week. You can always find our programs and our past videos at www.acapcommunity.org and on our YouTube channel. Please make sure you share those rack cards. Again, this is a community. We're all part of this community. We're all here to help each other. I wanted to mention, we talk about people and their networks. Lindsay is in a business networking group of mine where we have a lot of great people that provide all kinds of resources, services, and businesses you can use. Many of us are in a senior networking group where we've all gotten to know each other, but also other groups like Forsyth and folks down in Alpharetta. And Stephen and I are both on the board of directors of the Alpharetta Business Association. So we are resources that are here for you. We're part of this community. So please reach out and let us help all of you. So tonight is just the beginning. This chapter exists because of people in our community, and the people in our community, they need this service. So thank you for